Okay, today we want to talk about the simple past tense verb in Farsi language. Simple past tense has a name in Farsi. Sometimes it is called absolute past tense, which means that an action has happened in the past and it has been completed and it's not in continuation or progression, and at a certain point of time it has ended. So how do we make a simple past tense verb in Farsi? We need to have two important parts. One of them is the past stem of the verb or infinitive, and for simple past tense, we only need one ending, which is the verb ending or shenase from the six endings that we have to conjugate verbs. So there are six endings, and we just need one of them to add to the at the end of the past stem to make the simple past tense verb. How do we get the past stem? And in Farsi we call it bon. Bon past bon or bon mazi in Farsi we call it. So past stem is the morph or the part of the infinitive that refers to the past tense. And how do we get it? We will take our infinitive, which ends in a big noon. Then in order to get the past stem, we just need to delete this big noon from the end. If I have this infinitive khordan, which means to eat, and I delete the noon from the end of the infinitive, what I have here is now is the past stem. So when I have my past stem, another item I need to make my past tense verb is a verb ending. Verb ending, what do we mean by verb ending? We mean shenase. So verb ending is showing the person or the subject who is the doer of the action. So any of these verb endings I use, it will show that that person is the doer of the action. So we have am, I, at, im, eat, and. So these are so we know this is for first person, second person, third person singular. These are for first person, second person, and third person plural. So depending on the context and depending on the concept we are trying to convey, we have to use the appropriate endings, and one of them will be added to the end of the past stem. But we have one exception regarding the third person singular, and we will discuss it later when we want to add them together to see what happens. Here we have an exception in the third person singular that we have to be careful. So if I have past stem khord, past stem keshid, past stem gereft, then I add in order to conjugate my verb in first person singular. So this is the ending, this is the appropriate ending. So I will add it to the end of past stem. Khord plus am, keshid plus am, gereft plus am. So what I have is the conjugated verb. This is my verb, which is in the conjugation form of first person singular because it has am at the end, am at the end, am at the end. So these are the verbs in first person singular conjugation. Then if I want to conjugate my verb in a second person singular, I add only e, which is the appropriate ending for second person singular. So these are the endings that are, you see, they are the same, and I add them to the end of my past tense. Khord, e, keshid plus e, gereft plus e. Khordi, keshidi, gerefti means you did all these actions. So address, you as a listener did all these actions. And verb conjugation in second person plural. So still I'm on the same direction. I have the past stem plus the appropriate ending for second person plural. Second person plural ending is eat, eat, eat. So I will add them to the end of my past stems and I will get the conjugated verb in the form of second person plural. How do I know it's second person plural? Because these endings are showing that these are the second person plural. And verb conjugation in third person singular. So I know the third person singular ending is add, 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 and I add them to the end of past stem. And then what happens here, this short vowel ah needs a station. So it will be landing at the last consonant of my past stem. So this a will be added to this dot. This a will be added to this dot. This a will be added to this t at the end. And what I have is خورد کشید گرفت. What happened here, on the contrary of what we see, is that, okay, here I have two dolls next to each other, two dolls next to each other, te and doll next to each other, which will end in the past stem without showing any of these endings. I just brought all these examples to show you how the past stem will stay the same for the third person singular. I have to add all these endings and add. This is the appropriate ending for third person singular. But since these are all ending in te and dal, they don't take something with the same point of articulation. Te and de are very close, and dal and dal, they're the same, so they won't be added to each other. So here I end up with خورد کشید and گرفت. If I had other consonants at the end of this stem, I would add actually add to the end of that. It will work. But here in the past tense consonant, past tense verb, what I have is similar to past stem. So past stem of these verbs will be the same as third person singular conjugation of the verb. And here in conjugation of the verb in third person plural, I don't have any issue, because here this خورد is my past stem, کشید past stem, گرفت past stem. When I add the appropriate ending for third person plural, it is and. This a will be added to dal, and then I see, okay, there's a nun here, nun here, nun here, so it will work. This connection will work, and I end up with خوردند, کشیدند, گرفتند. So this a connected all these endings, the شناسه to the past stem, and the conjugated verb is in these forms: خوردند, کشیدند, گرفتند.